And where's
No, not. There we go.
Lindy? Yep. So I think the first thing I'd say is, thank you guys for joining us and everything on this and informational meeting. We have muted everybody, so um, during times if there's questions and we can figure out how we're gonna do that, you can unmute yourself. But then if you can, after you've asked your question, if you can go back and mute yourself, and that's over in the lower left-hand corner. Um, and we'll try to get as many questions as we can answered, and it's just going to be hopefully get a lot of information outside of just a bunch of emails that you get from us. So I will turn this over to Lindy because she has all the answers. I know I don't.
Well, hopefully you all have a pen and paper handy. That way, in case you think of any questions during the conversation, as David said, if you want to unmute yourself, I honestly don't have a problem if you want to jump in, right when we're on the topic, if you want to ask a question about it, or if you simply want to write it down and ask it towards the end, that'll be fine too. It is being recorded, so in case you miss anything, you can always watch the link and rehear what it is you missed. All right, I have a couple pages of topics, so it's probably going to take about an hour. Okay. First and foremost, I probably hit a lot of basic stuff that you already know, but that's okay. I just want to review it so that there's no questions about anything. You have to have a valid passport when you go on this trip. Okay. It has to be valid for 6 months past the return date. Okay. Not when you depart. So the cruise comes home on March 13th. If you are flying home that day, then your passport has to be valid until September 13th. If you are doing the land tour after, it has to go until the 19th, etc. If you decide to extend whatever day you are flying home, your passport has to match. It has to be valid through 6 months past that return date. Okay. So when you send me your forms, we are double checking that. And some of you have noticed that I sent out an email the other day to a few of you where your passport was expiring next year. And you may not have thought that far in advance. So it's very important that everybody double checks their own passport and you make sure that it is valid. Okay. Now, the one big question that almost everybody has emailed me on is visas. I did send this out a month ago, and I will be sending it out again. Okay. You will need an electronic visa for both countries. Okay. That's one for New Zealand and one for Australia. Okay. Now, how you get this, when I sent the link before, I sent the computer versions or the websites. Okay. It's actually easier, and I believe the websites may have directed you to them, but you go to the app and you can purchase this right through the app. So I'm going to show you this and hope that you can see it. This is the Australia one. Is that coming in good? Oh, Shannon, can you see that or no?
I can see it.
It's called Australian ETA. Looks just like this one right here. I just snipped a picture of it. Australian ETA. Okay. This one, I believe, it's less than $20 a person. Okay. And it's the same thing for the New Zealand visa. It's an electronic version. Okay. They're not very expensive, but you do them right through your phone or your iPad or whatever electronic thing you have. Now, some of you have already purchased this, and that's fine. My recommendation would be to simply wait until like December, or once you've paid for the cruise in full. I mean, if between now and then, God forbid, something happens and you have to cancel and you can't go on the cruise, you've now purchased a visa and given your money away for free. So they're very easy to get. These are not detailed visas like some countries. It's just basic information. They will ask for your passport number, your dates of travel, why you're going there. You say, I'm going on a cruise, if you're extending, just a couple of basic questions. You pay your fee. The Australian one, you get back generally the same day, if not the next day. They will just email you, and you can print it just to have a copy. But otherwise, there's nothing you will need to show. It's simply in the computer. So when you go through customs in that country, you have to show your passport, it will register on their end that you purchased the visa. And God forbid you forget or it doesn't go through, they'll say, go over there and do it. They generally have areas where you can go quickly do it. Okay. It's the same thing with New Zealand. I don't even know off the top of my head how much that is. Did anybody purchase theirs already? No? Okay. I believe it's less than $25 a person for that one as well. Okay. So again, I just recommend don't do it till the end of the year once you've paid in full for your cruise. If you want to do it now, just for peace of mind, knowing that it's done, that's absolutely fine. I just want to keep my money in my pocket until I have to give it away. Okay. Everybody good on visas? Okay. All right. I want to talk for a minute about your cruise invoice. Now some of you have had these for a year already, but I just want to go through these and make sure that you all understand everything, because a lot of you sometimes will ask me certain things and the info is on the cruise. Okay, I've blacked out the names here, so don't worry about that. At the top, it clearly states the dates of travel. Your cruise starts on February 28th and it ends on March 13th. Okay, right below that, it shows your stateroom and cabin number. Okay, your stateroom, it will start with a letter such as B or M, which is the deck, the Baja, Marina deck, Dolphin deck. It'll have that letter, and then it'll show your cabin number. And after the slash is the category. This one happened to show MV. That happens to be a mini suite. Okay, so if you're wondering where that information is, it's right there at the top of your invoice. Okay, and very important, right here is your booking number. Everybody wonders where that is. It's right here on top. It even says booking number. Okay, it's a 6-digit confirmation code. This is what you need when you log on with Princess. Okay. All right. In the middle, this is important. It shows member number. If you have traveled with Princess before, okay, so if you've done cruises with David or on your own, if you've traveled with Princess, you should have your captain's circle number right there. If it's not, and if that's not your number, you need to let me know. Okay. If you didn't tell me originally when I booked you that you had a captain's circle number, or if I couldn't find it, it would automatically issue the first person a number, but the second person won't have a number until they cruise. Okay, it'll make up a new one. So what happens is some people have 5, 6, 7 numbers because they never realized that they needed to put their original captain's circle number on the booking or whoever they booked with previously. Okay, the more you build up cruises, you'll build up your different levels. They have like gold level, ruby level, platinum level. With each of those levels, you get certain amenities on the cruise. Okay, so it's important that you just, make sure to condense all your numbers in one. This is not something I can do. If you think you have a number, or maybe you have more than one, you're not sure, you just call Princess and say, hey, can you look up my name, phone number, birth date? They'll pull it right up and they'll say, oh, yeah, you have 3 numbers. Say, okay, I need them all condensed on whichever was the first one. Okay. Sometimes people's last name change, different things where, again, you're building up all these different numbers and we don't want that. You want to have one number per cruise line. Okay. All right. Then it'll list the vacation protection. This is the insurance. I have automatically put that on everybody's unless you specifically tell me that you do not want travel insurance. Okay, and if you don't, I'm going to ask you to sign a paper just stating that you are aware you are not purchasing the insurance through the cruise line or through me. Maybe you're getting it through a third party. Maybe your credit card covers when you travel. However, it's important that I'll go over this before your final payment. I always like to remind you, we do have the insurance included. Okay. And then it simply lists the breakdown of your cruise. You have the cruise fare, your taxes, the packages, those are transfers to and from. Okay, I'll discuss transfers a little bit later, but just so you know what packages are, that's what those are. Okay. And then you have your gross total. Over on the left here, that shows the gross total for two. And then people always say, well, I made a deposit. Where's it at? It's right here in the middle. It's kind of tricky to see, but it states deposit received and total amount. Okay, so it's important you look right here in the middle. That will show what you've paid. Even if you've made payments, some people call and say, hey, Lindy, charge another $500. This will add up. It will keep adding your total. Now, the one thing it doesn't do is break it down in half. A lot of people are traveling with their cabin mate. Maybe you make separate payments. It's all just going to total here. I generally know what payments you've made, and you should be keeping track as well as to what payment you've made. Okay, but just so you know, it's only going to show one full deposit. And then, of course, the final payment date is November 30th. And then one other important thing I wanted to go over. Right here shows the Plus, the Princess Plus that the majority of you have purchased. If you recall, the Princess Plus is the drink package. You get the Wi-Fi, you get the gratuities, you get the fitness classes, the specialty desserts, etc. That will show right there. If it's not listed, that means you asked me to book it without that. That was the thing that cost about $60 a day per person. Okay, in case you're wondering what that is. It was called Princess Plus. Okay. And then lastly, it just shows your penalties right there. So after we pay in full, November 30th, as of December 1st, you're all in penalty. If you have to cancel after that date, this is what you will lose, unless you have insurance. Okay, if you have insurance, then I need to know why you're canceling. If it's a covered reason, you file a claim, you get your money back. If you just decide you don't want to go, they give you a future credit. Okay. All right. Any questions on the invoice?
Discuss the tips.
Okay. And one last thing too, in regards to the Plus package, somebody had asked.
I have a question.
Okay.
I'm Margie Wheeler. Just a second.
Margie.
Let me start my video. Okay, I've got what was that thing about special? What was that called?
Special services.
Yeah. Where's that?
It's not on the invoice because they list
Oh.
it differently. When you look in your cruise personalizer, you'll see special services and you'll see all of those items listed and kind of broken out. People have asked me too, what is that? It's the same thing. It's just breaking up your Princess Plus package.
Okay,
show-
and what's on the Princess Plus package?
You get the unlimited drinks.
Okay,
types.
I don't drink alcohol. So,
So
but-
besides that, you get Wi-Fi, gratuities, the fitness classes, the specialty desserts. We can discuss that later, Margie, if you think
Okay,
maybe you don't want it
because
on
I
your
don't,
booking.
I don't want to pay for alcohol if I'm not having it. Thank you.
Yeah, also,
no problem.
Lindy, this is Marita, and I had a question because whatever you're holding up, I don't have a copy of it. You called it an invoice, and I can't read on the screen. It's kind of blurred what you're holding up, but I don't think I have anything like that, and I'm wondering how I can get it.
You should, because automatically when you make a deposit on your booking, I email it to you.
So it must
So-
have been erased or something.
Okay, I can definitely say somebody's taking notes for me, so I will send you a copy again, okay?
Okay, thank you.
But noting that sometimes when we look for stuff on our phones, we don't notice that there's an attachment in the email. Okay, so we all have different emails that we use, but if I say in my verbiage, please see attached, you know, or if I'm sending you something, 9 times out of 10, there's going to be an attachment. You need to scroll to the bottom. If you're on your phone, generally you scroll all the way to the bottom of the email and you'll see there's a PDF. That's what you need to open because that is your invoice. And generally that's what I send, your invoice, or sometimes I send your airfare, copy of that. Any updates, there's always going to be attachments. Okay, so just make sure and look. I know it's a little tricky because we all have different services and how we look at our emails, but it's very important you always check that. Okay, if anybody else does not have an updated copy of your invoice, or maybe you haven't had one since last year, I don't know, maybe I haven't spoke to you since last year, feel free to email me or contact me and I will gladly send you one. Okay.
Hey, Lindy, there was a question in the chat about the visa and about how critical is the start and end date on the visa.
Well, it's very critical. I mean, the start date has to be correct. I mean, unless you're going, okay, so jumping topics, if you're going in early to Auckland, you need to put your arrival date. Okay, in other words, if you already purchased this and let's say you did February 28th because you thought, oh, I'm going on the cruise. Oh, I forgot I'm going in a few days early. You're going to have to redo it. It's not going to show the correct date.
So Lindy, you have to get the exact date. And so if we don't know how many days ahead, let's say we're going to come, because maybe we're going to come a couple days ahead to and stay a couple days later. If we don't know the exact date, we have to wait until we know the exact date.
You don't have to, but just overlap it. Put a week or two ahead and then a week or two after.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
that's fine. You can still do that. Yeah,
Okay,
because they're
perfect.
both countries are valid for 3 months. So even when you put your first date in and when you receive it back, you'll see, okay, visa's valid for 3 months, 90 days.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you.
And you know why they do that? Does anybody know why they always extend? Because if something happens to you and you're stuck in a hospital,
Mm,
okay,
yeah, there you go.
it happens. I've had every scenario possible. I've had people stuck in other countries. The visa has to be good for a while.
Yeah, I
Okay.
understand.
Okay. Did I miss any other questions? Good.
I do have one additional question, Lindy, in regards to the specialty package. If we
Yes.
don't want to buy the package, but we want Wi-Fi, is that possible to buy that separate?
Yes, you can take
Okay.
it off and then within the medallion, the cruise app or your cruise personalizer online, you can purchase the Wi-Fi. I don't know the pricing off the top of my head for like the Wi-Fi gratuities, like if you break it all down. I just know that when you do buy the plus package, it's a pretty good value. You're not paying too much more to get those extra items. And I know
Okay.
a lot of people say they don't drink. Just keep in mind it includes specialty coffees, it includes juices. You know, a lot of cruises are not including basic drinks nowadays. Basically it's milk, water, and coffee is about all you get. So if you want a juice or a soda or a glass of wine or anything like that, that's all covered under that drink package. So it's not necessarily alcohol, but if you just think about what do I normally drink daily, you know, or what am I going to want to splurge on while I'm on the cruise, then it might be of value to you.
And that package is per individual?
Per individual, and one person cannot buy it without the other in the cabin because everybody would cheat that way.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
so- what was that? Look at that little cat, but it's funny. Okay. All right. Let's discuss. I don't have much to say on it. Excursions. I'm getting a lot of complaints and I completely understand your pain, but unfortunately, I don't have an answer. I have called and I have discussed this with several different people at Princess. The bottom line is if they're sold out, they're sold out. They won't even tell me, they can't tell me because they just don't know if they will be adding more space or not. I know that David and Dawn had given you their list of what they're wanting to do, and some of you want to do the same things, and some of them are sold out already. And I'm very sorry. I don't have a good answer on that. I'm really praying that since we're so far out, they're going to open up more space. If there's any possibility of you putting yourself on a wait list, every excursion is different. So I've heard that some of them are offering a wait list and some are not. If they are, definitely put yourself on the wait list. Can't hurt, right? It'll always confirm. If you want to cancel it, you can cancel. That's another question. Yes, you can cancel your excursions. Generally, there's a, I'll send this out to everybody. There is a rule on the cancellation, but I believe as long as it's 5 days before the cruise, you can cancel anything and get a full refund. Okay, so as I've always said, it's better to book something now. If you're questioning it, I know you have to put the money out, that you do have to pay for it instantly, but you'll get it back if you change your mind. Okay, once you're on board, that's when you'd need to go to the shore excursion desk, you know, if you change your mind, and then they will tell you if it's refundable or not. Most of them, like 24, 48 hours, you're okay. But if they're delicate, like a helicopter ride or something intricate like that, it may be a longer time. You might not be able to get your money back. But again, be checking those periodically. Look back every other couple days, because everybody changes their mind on different things, you know, or if they open up space and suddenly there's 20 more spots, you know, it's you have to just check back constantly. Okay.
How do
Any
you know
questions?
what excursions there are?
You have to look online. Okay. So if you go under princess.com and you need to log into your cruise personalizer. There's a tab at the top that says booked guests. Once you click on that, it'll say cruise personalizer, which is another term for your registration.
Okay.
Okay, so cruise personalizer. If you don't want to create an account with Princess, you don't necessarily have to. On the left side, you can just enter your full name, your booking number, and your birth date, and you can get in to your account, your booking. Once you are in your booking, you can then access the shore excursions. You can make specialty dining reservations. You can make a spa treatment, all kinds of things.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
And Lindy,
And
One
Suki,
more
I was
second.
gonna say, I'm gonna be sending out, because you'll get an email from me that's gonna show you what Dawn and I have picked. So I'll be sending that out to you probably this week.
Okay, thanks. That's good.
and I
They
have a
do
question.
not, one second, they do not issue any type of booklet or even a PDF. When you're in the excursions, there's no way to even download everything so that you could print 100 pages and slowly look through everything. It's horrible. I'm sorry, all the agents have complained about it, but unfortunately you have to be able to look at it on a computer. It's very difficult to do on a phone. I don't recommend it. You know, if you have to go to a friend's house, or if you know somebody else that's going on this cruise, maybe schedule a night together with somebody that has a computer where you can actually look or even print one out, you know, that you might want to do. So what was your question?
Question was, if we don't sign up for any shore cruise on a particular port, are we left on the boat?
Yes, unless you choose to get off and go into port yourself.
And then
Which-
we'd have to make arrangements to get off the boat with somebody who would give us transportation, or are you assuming we would just walk?
It depends. Every single city is different. Every single port is different. Some of the cities you port right in town. Others you might have to take a little shuttle in. If you're not doing any excursions, I would suggest maybe when you get on board, go to the shore excursion desk within the first day or two and just say, hey, you know, when I'm in Christchurch, I don't really have any plans. Is the ship close enough to town that I could just get off and walk into town? And they'll tell you. And if I recall, David, do you remember, do they still do the nightly, the talks ahead of time of the next port?
They have
do
on
that?
every cruise so far. Yeah.
Yeah.
They'll highlight stuff.
So if you're unaware, if you just maybe don't want to make plans, Princess is pretty good about holding a little seminar a day or two before you get to that port. And they'll tell you everything to see and do. You know, if you just want to get off the boat yourself, they'll say, oh, it's really easy. You catch a cab into town, it's $5, you know, and just make sure to be back by 5 o'clock, an hour before the ship pulls off. You know, so they're very good about that. They're very helpful. So
If I may, there's a problem with going by yourself. You have to be back on the ship before it leaves. You are not going, they're not going to wait for you unless you've got a booked excursion
with Princess.
with
Right.
Princess. Then they will wait for you.
Yeah. So the rule is, if you book an excursion through the cruise line, let's say that on your way back, you're on a motor coach with 50 people and the bus breaks down and you don't make it on time. The ship has to wait because that was all booked through the cruise line. Now, if you book that tour on your own, a lot of people do not like to pay what the cruise line charges for excursions. So they find their own little tour company in each port. They get off the boat and they go join whatever tour they want. If that tour breaks down on your way back, Princess will not wait for you. Okay, so just keep that in mind. You always take a little risk on doing stuff yourself. You know, if it's another tour company or depending on how far away it is. You know, if it's something where you can catch a cab back, you know, make sure you're there no matter what, then no problem. But just kind of keep that in mind when you're booking your own tours if you're not going to do something through the cruise line. Okay. Any other questions on excursions?
So when we went down to the Caribbean, the tour company had a shore excursions group, which was separate from the cruise ship, but they did enough business that they promised to take care of you if their excursion was late to the boat. Are there any companies like that down in Australia and New Zealand? Or is it all just kind of independent operators?
Well, I mean, sure, there's great tour companies I can give you the names of, and everybody's going to say, yes, we'll get you back in time. But the bottom line is if they can't, they might say they're going to, but what if they can't? The cruise line will not wait for you.
Right, but they said we would get you to the next port, or what, you know, they would get you caught up. They didn't promise they would hold the boat, but that they would take care of getting you to the next spot.
I personally have never heard of a tour company doing that myself,
Mhm.
but maybe I've just never had that happen to anybody to where they, you know, took their own independent tour and missed the ship, and then that excursion company
I think
drove them
it
or
was
got
it
them.
was called cruise planners, so they didn't run the individual excursions, but they just booked all of the excursions, and so that was part of their deal.
Okay.
Yeah, and I haven't heard of it either, but you know,
Yeah.
I would just say read the fine print on stuff like that just to make sure.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. It's hard for me to answer on that just because I don't deal with them. So
Because we wanted to snorkel and take a helicopter ride, and I didn't see any excursions like that on the boat unless I already missed them.
yeah. Luckily, New Zealand is pretty drivable. So if it absolutely had to happen, you could, even if you had to rent a car, let's say, you could get yourself to the next port. It's doable. You know, let me put it this way. If it was something I wanted to do like that, I would do it. I would take the risk.
What side of the road did they drive on?
The left, opposite of us.
Okay.
Yep. Okay. Let's move on to flights. Okay. If you have not booked your flights yet, I do recommend that you do that sooner than later. I've noticed that pricing is already going up. Okay, they've been available for a couple weeks now, and I'd say I don't even know if 50% of you have booked your flights yet. I think that's about all, but the rest of you need to get on that. Okay, if you need my help, I'm happy to help you with it. I do recommend that we book it through Princess because it's covered with your insurance. Your insurance does not go up, doesn't change in price, but it will cover your flight. Even if you book a $5,000 flight, you're still covered. Okay, they do have pretty good pricing. I've been comparing it quite a bit for some other people that want to go on a separate trip at the same time, and pricing is pretty good through Princess. So feel free to email me if you want my help. It can be done online. Okay, if you're snazzy with the computer and you like to go in and look at that kind of stuff, you can do it within your booking. Again, in the cruise personalizer, you'll see flights and transportation. You can play around in that. Just be aware, whether you are booking a flexible or restricted fare. I think I had talked about this previously. I don't remember if I put it in an email or what, but the flexible fare is the type of fare that you can add on to your cruise booking. Okay, and you do not have to pay for it right now. It will not be due until the final payment in November. You can secure any of the flights they offer and simply add it onto your booking. If you change your mind and you say, you know what, I think I want to go in 3 days early, let's change our flight. You can do that with a flexible fare. Okay, it can be canceled or changed for free up until 45 days prior. However, I want you to forget that statement because we're just going to pretend it's the final payment date. Okay, because we should know by the time we make our final payment whether that's going to be your flight schedule or not. Okay.
Lindy, can I ask a question or do you want to wait?
Yes. No, go ahead.
Okay. We have Chase Sapphire points. Do you know if we can use those with Prince, through the Princess?
You cannot. Yeah.
Okay.
Nor do I book any flights with any type of points. If any of you want to use any points you have from credit cards or airline miles or anything like that, you need to go directly through the credit card or the airline company. They will advise you on how many points you need for what flights and what dates are available, yada, yada. Okay.
I have a
All right.
question.
Yes.
The cruise credits that I've seen listed, when we cancel or change something, do we get cruise credits? Like if I wanted to change from a kayak tour to a bus tour, would I cancel it and get cruise credits? And then would I
No.
use this?
You get a refund.
Okay, so what are
Yeah.
cruise credits then? That's
I'd have to look at your booking and see what cruise credits you're talking about. Sometimes
Okay.
they're onboard credits, depending on when you booked and what type of promotion was going on. You may have received a $25, let's say, onboard credit. It'll say OBC. I mean, sometimes it'll say cruise credit, but it's money you could spend on board.
yeah, we didn't have any, but it just asked if we wanted to use them. So then I was trying to figure out how would we get them. I thought maybe if we canceled, we would get them. Canceled a tour,
No, if you cancel a tour, you should be getting a refund. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, back to the flights. Now, that's the flexible fare. That's the one I recommend for everybody. Okay. The only disadvantage with flexible fares is that no seat assignments are guaranteed until the cruise line tickets your flight with the airline. They will do that at 45 days prior. Okay, so even though we pay in full in November and you say, that's it, Lindy, I'm locked in, those are the flights I want, Princess still will not give that money to the airline until 45 days prior. At that point, you can do your seat assignments. We can log on and say, that's it, that's the seat. You might have to purchase a seat because I can tell you all airlines do not offer free seats, especially going to Australia. Air New Zealand, Fiji Airways, Qantas, they all charge for seat assignments. But at any point, even when we make your final payment, if you say, Lindy, I'm not changing my flights. This is it. I want them ticketed now. I can tick a little box with the cruise line and they will ticket it that day. But when we do that, they're strictly non-refundable from that moment on. No changing, no refund, no, I forgot my middle name, no nothing. Okay? So flexible's great all the way up until the final payment. Even a month from now, if you say, you know what, Lenny, I'm not changing. I'm doing this. I'm going. I want to be able to do my seat assignments now. Then we have to say, let's ticket it. They're going to want the full payment for the airfare instantly. Okay? So when you're ready to lock those in, remember, you have to pay for the air instantly. And I will ask that you pay for your insurance because they will not be covered if your insurance isn't paid right now at the same time we do it. Okay? So, if
And then
seat
just something
assignments,
that I was gonna say, just something to jot down, just in the chat, when you get to it, is about can they extend for a few days in Sydney? So when you get to
yes,
talking that, I just want
Yes.
to let you know that was in the chat.
thank you. So if seat assignments, if they're important, but not important enough that you want to pay for your flight right now and be locked into it, then just wait. Okay. Some of the airlines, United's a good example. I have been requesting the seats right when I put your flights on hold, and those are 99% locked in. Okay. Just so you know, no seat assignments are ever 100%. I don't even care if we pay for them. If the airline feels like changing you for whatever reason, they can do it. They'll give you your money back if they feel they need to, if you paid for a seat. But if they have to change you, just know they have the right to do that. Doesn't generally happen, but it can. Okay. Now the restricted fare. Be very careful if you happen to be booking your own. Again, there's flexible, restricted. If you book a restricted flight, it's pretty much like if we go out and book an airline ticket tomorrow, I want to go to Vegas, I book a flight, it's non-refundable, boom, instant. Sometimes the restricted is slightly cheaper than a flexible, but 9 times out of 10, the flexible is a better price. So there's really no need to do the restricted. Okay. It's only, I mean, if it was a great deal, I'll tell you if I recommend it, but 99% of the time, I don't book restricted. Okay. Just because, again, you're locked into it, no changes, no ifs, ands, buts. Okay. Any other questions on the air? Oh, I did have some more topics on it. Okay. So, if you're doing pre or post, I will help you figure out your days that you need to leave because it takes 2 days when we fly to Australia, or excuse me, Auckland. It's 2 days. We're crossing over the equator. Okay. So if we leave on a Monday night, we're going to get there Wednesday morning. So the majority of the flights, no matter where you're coming from in the US, you're going to get there very early in the morning, or let's say at least before noon. Okay. A lot of you have pre-booked the Auckland hotel with me. Cannot guarantee that you will get in that hotel room until 3 or 4 o'clock. So I'll be reminding you of this as time gets closer, but I'm going to remind you to maybe have a change of clothes with in case you want to go out and venture right away. You'll be able to go drop your stuff off at the hotel and then probably go out and about, and they'll call you when your room is ready. Okay. You can extend both pre and post. If you have not booked a hotel in Auckland, and if you want my help with that, please let me know. Again, about 50% of you have done that already. In doing so, you will get to go to a nice square dance, which David, why don't you talk about that topic for a minute? David.
I was waiting for the dogs to stop barking.
Okay.
So with the square dance in Auckland, that's going to be the day before, on the 27th, and we've secured a hall. It's probably about 20 minutes from the Rigers Hotel. What we're looking at doing right now, and I'm doing some investigation, is actually trying to work with a bus company to pay for a bus. So I'll pay for a bus that would basically stop at that hotel and then take us over to the dance location, hang there, and then would transport people back. So there will be an email that I'll probably be sending out, trying to get just counts of who's thinking about going to the dance. I've got a local Australian caller that's going to actually set sound for us, which is really great. I've been working actually with the New Zealand Square Dance Association, one of the folks there. So they've sort of got that sort of organized. So it's been really good. So yeah, she's already put it together. She's starting to put together a flyer for the dance because they want to invite some of their other local dancers to come. We do have about 2 squares of folks from Australia, New Zealand that are going to go on the cruise. So because of rules, they can't really book within the group, but they sort of independently heard about it and decided square dancing is going to be, square dancers are friendly. So they decided to go on the cruise. So it should be a really fun thing there. So that's sort of what's in the game plan. I've been working with the getting the bus company. That's still a little bit challenging, coming from the United States, trying to book those things. But I've got a couple contacts that they've put me on to, so I'll hopefully be able to get that sort of locked in sooner than later. So and that's all. Yeah, and that's all of that, the transportation there and everything. That's all part of the dancer fee. That's some of the things that I'm using to pay for out of the dancer fee. So just that because the dance will be free, etc. So it should hopefully be a lot of fun. So the hall's pretty decent size, and hopefully it'll fit all of us. So, but then outside of that, there are a couple other questions. Lindy, just put on your thing. Somebody talked about including a layover in Hawaii, and if they book airfare on their own, will they get transports? Let's see, if they book airfare on their own, will we get airport transfers from Princess? And then about arranging hotel to the port, getting there.
So transfers. If you fly in and out the same day the cruise departs and arrives, you can purchase a transfer from the cruise line. They will pick you up at the airport, take you to the ship, from the ship back to the airport. Okay. If you are doing a pre-stay in Auckland, you cannot do that through Princess. Okay. If you booked a hotel with me, I can then get you a transfer on arrival, but I can't do that until you have your flight scheduled. Okay. So if you have a pre-night booked with me, whether it be 1, 2, 3, 4 nights, once we have your flights, I will then get you a price on an arrival transfer. That means a car or a little van or a shuttle or something will pick you up at the airport when your flight arrives and take you to the hotel. We can't do that as a group because, as you know, everybody's coming in on different flights from different cities. They're staying different amounts of nights before and after. So it's just not something that we can do as a group at all. Now, if there's 4 or 5 of you traveling together, I can do it that way. If you say, hey, Lindy, I know so-and-so's on my same flight and the 4 of us want to go one transfer, then I can do that. You just have to let me know that. Okay.
Lindy,
Yeah, I was gonna say Bill has a question, it looks like.
Sure.
I've already paid for transfers on this invoice, and I'm wondering what transfer is that?
Well, it automatically gets added when I build your invoice. So I will be removing that from everybody's invoice. I will figure out if you need it with the cruise line or not. Yeah. So if you see them on your invoice, don't worry about it. We can I'll take those off if I notice you're coming in a couple days early. And then depending on the post part of the trip, if you're going on the land tour, then you for sure will not need the transfer. But if you're flying home on the 13th, then we get you a transfer from the cruise line. They'll pick you right up at the port and take you to the airport. If you're staying a couple days, if you're staying a couple days in Sydney, the same thing. I'd have to book you a separate transfer. The cruise line will not do it unless it's the same day as the cruise.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a question in the chat on just a clarification on the bus going to the dance, and that is basically if I know not everybody's staying at the same hotel we are, but if you're staying at a different hotel, I'll give you instructions where our hotel is. People just need to get to our hotel because we need one bus drop-off location. So if you're not staying at the same hotel as us, we'll let you know where that is, what time you'd need to be there so you can get on the bus and transfer over. So that's my
To the
current
dance.
game plan, to the dance.
And back to the hotel.
And it'll come back to our
Our
hotel.
hotel.
So that's how the bus line at least is going to work, what they had told us. So that's the current game plan.
Now, the next morning, when it's time to go to the cruise ship, everybody will be on their own. It is not very far from the hotel, or at least not the hotel that we've chosen, the Ridges. I don't know if you stay at a different hotel, it might be a little further, but it's honestly not very far. It will be a very easy cab ride or an Uber, or again, if there's 5 or 6 of you that want to go together, to catch a little shuttle, it will be a fairly easy thing to do. Okay. Now, some of you have asked for post extension. If you want to stay in Sydney, please let me know. I'll be happy to get you pricing on hotels. Same way we booked the Ridges. I have a couple of hotels that people are staying at, and I can help you with that. Okay. Now, the other question in regards to a stopover, if you do not know what that is, when you book a flight, okay, when you're going or coming home from here to Australia, you can add a stopover in Hawaii or Fiji. Okay. Some people do not like a 16-hour flight. And they say, well, I want to break it up. I'll do a 5-hour flight to Hawaii out of LA, stay there a couple days, and then I'll do, the difference going to Australia, Rockland, excuse me, for the next flight. Same thing coming home. If you want to do that, there is a way to do that with Princess. All I can do is look at your dates of travel, see what airlines are offering that, and I can give you a price. It will tell me if it doesn't work or if there's no scheduled departures or anything like that. But that can be done. Generally, there's not an additional cost to do that. If there is, the airline builds it right into your price. So I'll give you an example. The other day, there was a round trip ticket, LA to Auckland, and then coming back from Sydney. Okay, it was $1,050. To do the stopover in Fiji on the way home, the ticket now became $1,166. So it was $100 difference. And now these people will get to hang out in Fiji for a couple days. Then you say, well, where will I stay? That's my job. I will help you book those land packages if you do want to do any type of stopover. Okay. All right. Is that clear to everybody? Good. All right. I know a lot of you that are going on the land tour after the cruise, you have a lot of questions, and I may need to do another Zoom call just for those people because I don't necessarily want to get into all of those questions and answers tonight. A lot of the people probably don't want to hear it if they're not going on it. So the more info I get regarding that, I will be emailing you. And once I have, I'm waiting on a few other topics I need to get some answers on. So hopefully within the next month, I'll then have a Zoom call with just you guys. If you recall, we are doing a 6-night land tour after the cruise. There was 88 spots. There's about 8 spots left now, or 7 or 8 spots. So we're just about sold out. If any of you are thinking about it, still on the fence, you need to get your deposit in because those spots may go very soon. After that, we will strictly work with a wait list. Okay. All right. That's that.
Lindy,
Yes.
I have a
Yes.
question.
Hi, Dee.
On the currency,
Yes.
do we need to get currency here from our banks, or are they like on the last trip, we could use a ATM at the different countries to get
Yes.
cash?
Yes. So that answer applies pretty much all around the world. You can always use your ATM card at any of the machines. Well, of course, as long as it matches with the symbol on the back of your cards, and you can pull out their money. Okay.
Okay.
They'll charge you a fee. The machine will charge you a fee, plus your bank will charge you a fee. Sometimes there's a third fee. So if you want to get money in advance, most people like to get it from their banks because they don't charge you as much, and it's usually the best conversion rate. If you don't want to exchange any money, you don't necessarily have to. Credit cards are accepted everywhere. I do recommend, I just had this happen last week to somebody. Stuff gets stolen, so you have to carry more than one credit card with you. And you always keep them separate. You never keep them both in your same wallet with you. Leave one on the ship in the safe. Keep one with you. Okay. I had a client last week in New York. Different topic a little bit, but it has to do with credit cards. They had 2 stolen. Luckily, they had a third and fourth with them. The third one they dropped and lost, and then they had their fourth one to use. So it happens. We have to be careful of things like that. But I do recommend taking more than one. Not a Discover, not American Express. American Express is not accepted everywhere around the world like it used to be. Nor are traveler's checks. Don't even get those. Nowhere. They won't take them. So it's strictly your credit, your debit, Visa, MasterCard. Those are the 2 number ones. And cash, of course. And they will not accept US cash. They're not like Mexico. They will not accept US cash. So it either has to be in their dollar or your credit cards. Okay. Even taxi cabs, things like that, you can generally use a card nowadays, but you'll always want to have a little bit of their cash on you. Let's say at least maybe less than $100 per person, should an emergency happen and you need to have some cash on you. Okay. So yes, contact your bank, because sometimes that can take weeks to get. So tell them maybe 2 months before you go that I'm going to need this amount of money in the New Zealand dollar. And they'll tell you what the excursion rate is and the best amount to get and how long it'll take.
I have a question.
Yeah.
I need to go back to booking air flights.
Sure.
My stepdaughter is coming from Florida to LA, and then we're both flying out together.
Okay.
Can you still use the cruise, Princess Cruise, to book it? Is it better to do it that way? Or can you do it?
Is she going on the cruise?
Yes.
Yes. So I can see if I can route her through.
She's coming over to my place and we're staying overnight, and then we're going to fly together on the trip.
Yes, I can make it work.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay.
And Lindy, there was a question in the chat regarding in Sydney about, and not with the trip necessarily, but are there any, I think it was like either any excursions or tours in Sydney, and how to find out about those?
Okay, so let's talk pre and post for Auckland and Sydney. If you are interested in doing some type of day tour, whether it be a city tour, let's say you want to go sailing in Auckland, Sydney, you want to climb the Sydney Bridge. I have tour companies that I can send you a link, and you can look at all the different tours that are available. Okay, just email me and let me know. Just say, hey, I'm going to be in Sydney for 3 nights. What's to do? What can I do? And I'll send you a nice little link. It'll have all the different tours, and you can even book directly from that link that I send you, and it'll come right back to me showing that you booked a tour. Okay. People have been asking if in Auckland, if David has any day tours set up. No, as of right now, everybody's on their own. Okay, for Auckland. So you may want to find something to do. You may want to recoup from your flight for a day or 2. I don't know. It's quite a bit of difference. They're 15 hours ahead of us right now. Could be 16 by then. So it's going to take you a day to adjust. So even if you fly in, I think most of you are doing 2 pre-nights, which is great. I would recommend it at minimum 2 pre-nights, if not 3. That first day you need to adjust, and then maybe you'd have all day Friday or the day before the trip to tour around, and then you'll have your square dance that night, and then the next day you board. Okay, so if you haven't done it yet, at least consider 2 nights free. Again, the post nights, if you're not doing the land tour and if you want to stay in Sydney, I would recommend 3 nights minimum. There's a lot to see and do in Sydney. Okay.
I have a question about registration. Are you going to be talking about that?
Yeah, give me 1 more minute on that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tipping in both countries. What did I say on that? Okay, so in Auckland, which is New Zealand, they do not expect any type of tips. Okay, they're very different than the US. So if you were to give something, it will be for exceptional service, and it's an average of 10 to 15%. In Australia, they again don't expect it, but they appreciate it. Sometimes it will also be on your bill. Let's say you go to a restaurant, the gratuity might already be on there. So it's very important to always look. I don't think you'll have that issue in Auckland. You know, again, that's strictly up to you. But in Australia, you'll have to look at all your receipts and decide. Okay. What's next?
Cruise personalizer medallion.
All right. Next topic. I want to jump back to the cruise personalizer. So you remember I said you go to princess.com. At the top, there's a little tab that says for booked guest, BOOKED, booked guest. That's you. You've made a booking with them. And then it'll say cruise personalizer. You can go in there, fill out as much as you can. But the main area where you need to fill everything out is this little Princess app. It's called the Medallion app. Okay, so when you do your search in apps, whether it be on your iPad or your phone, Princess Medallion app. Okay, you'll get your page like that. Can you see that? It says, welcome, David. I used his. You all have 266 days until your cruise. Okay, in here, it says check in. It's the first little tab. It's thinking right now. Let's see. It'll give you a travel checklist. You need to click on this and it'll give you all the information. It wants to know your passport. It's going to ask you to scan it. Okay, so you need to scan your passport. There's a tab to order your medallion. Does everybody know what a medallion is? Okay. A medallion looks like a little quarter. They came out with this concept about 5 years ago now. It's this little individual medallion that you can keep in your pocket. You can keep it in your purse. You can wear it on your watch, on a necklace. They sell all kinds of little apparatuses to keep this thing handy. But when it's on you, everybody on the cruise ship knows everything about you. Okay. It also unlocks your door to your cabin. They no longer give you a key card with your picture on it like we used to have years ago. Okay. All you get is this little tiny thing that's like a quarter. It's called a medallion. This will ask you if you want to order it ahead of time or if you want to pick it up at the pier. I recommend you pick it up at the pier. That's very, very important. I want you all to take note on that. I recommend that you pick it up at the pier because they only mail this out 10 days prior to the cruise, and 9 times out of 10, the mail does not deliver it on time. Okay, so it's just as easy to pick it up at the port. There's no need to get it ahead of time. It does not work. It doesn't do anything other than you look at this little quarter size thing. There's no need to get it ahead of time. Just pick it up at the port. When you have to check in at the port, everybody has to go in line and check in no matter what. They will simply hand it to you. They'll walk over and they'll give you yours. You can customize it because they want to make money off of everybody. If you want little flowers on you, maybe a flag, there's all kinds of cute little things. You can order it, but they'll pay. You'll pay for those things. Okay. Otherwise, it'll just be a little princess medallion. Okay. Within this app, you can also, it says book dining. The only thing you would need to do with that is if you want to go to a specialty restaurant. Otherwise, our group will all be sat together at one of the dining times, which they have not confirmed with me yet. It will more than likely be the late dining time, simply because it has to coordinate with our dance schedule. Okay. Let's say you just don't like that. I don't want to eat late. I want to eat early. Just tell me. You don't have to sit with the group if you don't want. I can change yours. Okay. The other thing is you might want to leave it. And then if you just don't feel like showing up late at night, if you're hungry at 6 and you want to go eat somewhere at 6, you can go eat somewhere at 6. It just can't be in the dining room because your set dining time is later. Okay. But I will relay that information once they have confirmed everything and they've given us an exact time. Princess is in the process of going back to traditional dining time. I know a lot of you sailed last couple of years, and they have this whole new process to where you can pick what time of dining you want to go every night. It's been a real pain in the butt and everybody hates it. So they're going back to traditional dining. They're going to have 2 seatings and they're still going to have their open seating where you can go anywhere between like 5:30 and 9:30. Okay. But our group will have a set time. We'll have set tables. So I will relay that once I know that.
And they haven't, yeah, and I was gonna say they haven't set what the early time and the late time is, correct?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. The other thing, it says packages. This is where, if you don't have the Princess Plus package included, you can look and get the Wi-Fi package. Let's say you just need that. Or let's say you have the Princess Plus and you decide you want the Princess Premier. Then you call me. Don't do it on here. You call me. There's excursions. You can look at excursions here. You can book spa reservations. So everything can be done in this Medallion app. Okay. Towards the end, as it gets closer, once you've made your final payment, I will be harping on everybody to make sure that you've all completed this. If you don't, you have to get in the super long line when you go to board the cruise, because all of the people that unfortunately maybe don't have a phone that does this, or they just couldn't figure it out, it's not a problem. They will help you do everything when you get to the cruise. It's just going to be one of the longer lines. You're going to have to wait for them to help you do everything. Okay, so we want to have as much of that done as possible. Once you complete it, it will then give you the green lane or the blue lane. Almost the same thing, but you might have missed one little thing, but it'll tell you which lane you can go in when you go to the cruise port. Okay.
And
Okay.
so someone can chat about shows of, do you have to pre-book shows? And I think the answer still is no on that.
Right. Princess does not require you to pre-book shows. I think the only cruise line right now is Royal Caribbean that does that. You know, maybe one other, but no, you don't have to pre-assign any of your events while on board. There's going to be a dance fee. I believe I sent that to all of you. It was on the flyer and I sent it in your email. $75 per person for the square dance fee. That is going to be paid directly to David. It's not going to be added onto your cruise invoice. So in the fall, November, December, we will let you know the best way to do that, whether it be by check, by Venmo, by Zelle, through your bank, any of those avenues. We'll talk about that again in the fall once we've made our final payments. Okay. If you're not a dancer, nobody expects you to pay the fee. Okay. I know a lot of you have family and friends coming. If they're not dancers, we don't expect you to pay the dance fee. Okay. All right. Dancing while at sea, David.
All right. So right now, what I can tell you, what we've got sort of, the way it works is, you know, we are making requests via Lindy to get different dance locations. Currently, they've got us, we actually are in split locations where we're currently in the Princess Live venue, which is a smaller venue, which we thought was going to be really good. But as this group has gotten bigger, we realized we need more. So Lindy, I started looking through all the ship plans and looking where the space was. And actually on the top deck, they have a basketball court, and you can do Google images and look for it if you want to. I'll send my next email. I'll probably try to send some photos out. We also have that location. Currently, the time that they have us set up right now is from 5 to 7 every night. So we will we will be operating both venues at this point. And the one thing I'll tell you about that is Princess does have the right to change those things a little bit as we get further along. They've usually been pretty good with us in the past, but they can change things and move things around. And we will go ahead and let you guys know that probably once we get on board or closer to when we're on board with the exact dance schedule is, because what we've done in the past is we've done some things where maybe we're going to do, especially during our days at sea, if we're trying to get some more time during our days at sea, we don't have that secured yet. And that's because Princess has to really book their entertainment sort of packages out. And so as they start doing that, Lindy's already talked to them, so they know what we want. It's just a matter of how we fit into the grand scheme of that. But we'll keep you posted on that. We'll keep you posted on what those dance schedules are. In terms of level, I've had a few questions about level, and we will figure out what the floor is. And we on previous cruises, we've had a lot of mainstream. We'll do mainstream. We'll do some plus. We'll do some advanced. We'll mix it up so that the majority of folks can be dancing. So it's pretty straightforward in that you're there to dance. And also I would say some of you are going to get on this cruise. You're going to come the first night of dancing and you're going to say, peace out. I'm here on a cruise. I'm going to go vacation and have fun. And that's okay too. And you'll show up the last night. And we had a few couples on our last cruise that did exactly that. We saw them the first night. I don't think we saw them on the ship the entire rest of the cruise. I don't know where they were. But they weren't anywhere near us. And that's okay. So and
we're going to offer the dancing from 5 to 7 every night. You can participate if you want.
You can come for one tip and say, great, we're out of here. And the other thing is people have asked about dress code. Casual. You're on vacation. I don't expect at any given time that you're packing a slip, square dance clothes. There's much more precious things to put in your luggage than that. So just don't worry about any of the square dance attire. I'm sure we'll send out more stuff about like the formal nights and things like that as we get closer to the cruise of what those things are. So, we'll just keep you posted. But a lot of people were asking about dress code. There is no dress code. Just come as you are. That's what I would say on that. We had something in the chat about how many dancers are signed up for the cruise. I believe in the last count that I saw from our group, they're all through Lindy, is about 133, I think.
But they're not all dancers.
They're not all dancers.
Yeah, we have 100, close to 140 people signed up for the cruise in general. And yeah, I don't know off the top of my head how many are dancers and not. I think there's some dancers that are injured, so they dance, but they won't be dancing on the cruise. So it's kind of hard to know exactly how many square dancers there are or will be.
Yeah. And then we've got about, like I said, I think 2+ squares from Australia and New Zealand. So that'll be joining us. So they're that's really cool on that part. So they're super excited about just getting in and dance with everybody. So I get just about as many. What's been happening with that, just to let you guys know, is because they can't book through us. It's been very organic where they have somebody signed up and then they've sent me an email and then somebody else signed up and then they say, oh, and these two friends of ours also signed up last week. And so I've been collecting these emails so I can communicate with them. So it's a little less efficient, but they are really excited about that as well. So if you have questions,
To elaborate on that, just so everybody knows, I am not allowed to book anybody that does not live in the US or Canada. So if you have any friends over in Australia or wherever, they need to book through their agent over there, unless they have a US address. Some people have dual citizenship, or maybe they live here half the year. If they have an address here, then we could book them. But all of those people actually live over there. So that's why we couldn't book them into our group.
Yeah. And then let's see, is there any other questions on the sport and stuff? I think no, I think those are the ones. If you have any other questions, though, email us and we'll try to answer. And I'll be sending more emails on that as we get closer. Lindy, there was something in the chat about, is there a luggage limit?
Okay, I'll get to that in 1 second.
I figured you would.
I forgot to discuss this. Adapters, people wanted to know about the electricity in New Zealand and Australia. It is the same for both countries. You need type 1 plug. It's the 3-prong plug here. They're flat, looks like a V shape, 3-prong. If you are just taking your electronic devices, I'd say 99% of them have dual wattage. So you just need the adapter. In other words, plug one end, the other end goes into the plug. If it's something that needs a conversion, sometimes you take a curling iron or other apparatus that needs actual conversion, then you have to buy the thicker one, the box that says converter on it. Okay, I'd say most of us probably just need the adapter, but look ahead, you know what it is you're taking that you'll need a plug. On board the cruise ship, it's US plugs in the cabin. Okay, but when you stay in Auckland the night before, and then if you extend in Australia, you'll need an adapter or two with.
And depending on your equipment, just, and you can look up I believe it, on the country's sort of websites, they'll tell you what types of converters. There's different places to look. Just from experience, when we were in London, obviously I have equipment that does not need just a converter. I had a transformer, but I sort of didn't get the right transformer with the right cycles. And so when we were trying to do an impromptu little dance and I had plugged in, the smoke was my first indication. The blown fuse with the smoke was the second indication that something wasn't right. So then that sent me into a panic because that was my speaker for all the dancing on the ship. Outside of, we can use the Princess, because they charge us for the venues, we can use their stuff, but using my own speakers is usually better. But then we ended up reaching out to some people who are coming later who actually ended up buying spare fuses and bringing them with them to me so they could rescue and save the day. I was pretty much a hot mess though in between. So
I had a blow dryer catch fire in my hand one time because I had the wrong converter on it. So very important. But most of the time we don't need blow dryers anymore. They do have them on the cruise ships and they do have them in the hotels. So that's one thing you don't have to worry about, ladies.
You have to check each converter to find out whether it will work with what you're trying to use it for, because some of them, if you're not careful, they will not work with 110 devices. And it will say on the package, I purchased several, and when I got them, they said, you can't use this with 110. You have to be careful because, like David said, there are cycles that you have to worry about. We use 60 cycles, they use 50 cycles. It's not a big deal with some things, but with others, it is. And you need to be careful with buying adapters because they don't all work. And if you want to buy one that will work with everything, it will weigh about 30 or 40 pounds and you won't want to take it with you. So do be careful and do be aware that not all these adapters will work.
What is your first name? I don't know who that is speaking.
That's John.
John
I'm
Martin.
John.
He's an
Oh.
electrician. Did you know that?
I did
You
not
wouldn't
know
be
that.
able to tell.
Thank you very much. Your email shows different there, so I wasn't sure what your name is. Okay, luggage. When you fly, every airline will give you one baggage, 50 pounds. Okay.
Mhm.
Anything after that, you have to pay. You're generally allowed to bring a carry-on. Sometimes, not usually with the main carriers, Air New Zealand, United, Qantas, they're not going to check the size and weight of your carry-on bag, but for sure your checked piece of luggage, they will weigh. 50 pounds is the max. If you are over, they will charge you. If you want to bring an extra piece, they will charge you. Okay. If you are going on the land tour, and I'll keep this short because I don't want to discuss this topic too much right now, plan on having only one piece of luggage. Okay. With your carry-on.
44 pounds.
Yeah. Okay. Any questions on that?
Was there someplace we could store baggage while we're on the land tour?
Okay. Yes. In the Sydney airport, they do have luggage facilities. From what I understand, there's 2 different ones in 2 different terminals. I'm also looking into like a third option of where we can put luggage. So I will be letting you know more of that as I get it. But again, do your best to just have one piece of luggage. It's hard when you're traveling that far to have more than one, especially, you know, if you have to carry your own stuff between rolling one and maybe rolling a carry-on plus a purse or a backpack or something, it can get to be a lot. So you want to do your best to keep it to one a person.
Yeah, so in the chat, there's something about, someone wants to know, are there washers and dryers on the ship, which I believe all the other ship, most ships there are.
Yeah,
But
there
I think you have to pay attention to, on some, at least on some ships, I don't know if it's when you're, not when you're in port, but I think when you're coming in your last day or whatever, sometimes they'll close those off at certain times. So you just have to pay attention to that. And yeah, and basically with the luggage, we feel the pain of trying to keep to small amounts of luggage. It doesn't usually work with the equipment we carry and everything like that. So it's always a
Expensive endeavor.
It is, yeah. Just as you know, you just pay for every bag you're putting on there, and you know, and usually, just so you all know, we work on the group mentality of helping us, Dawn and I, move our luggage because we have so much. There's not enough usually for just the 2 of us to move. So we will usually be reaching out for friends to help us. So you just, yeah.
Just so everybody knows in the chat, there was a question, what's the date of the dance in Auckland? It's February 27th. It's the night right before the cruise.
Yep.
Okay.
And then somebody asked about, is there a size restriction outside of a weight restriction of luggage?
Yes. I can't tell you that in general because every airline's different. Most of them are pretty standard. You know, again, they're not necessarily going to measure your suitcase, but if you show up with one that's outrageous, they may call you on it. A standard big one is 28 or 29 inches tall. I know they make 30-inch ones too. Those are nice, but when you buy that big, a 30-inch, all of a sudden your weight can go over 50 pounds. So I would recommend sticking with a 28 or 29-inch. I've packed mine to the T and I can still get it to be 50 pounds. So
I would like to add that the cruise line does not carry or care how many pieces of luggage you have or how much it weighs.
Correct.
I've seen people with a cart carrying in 10 or 15 cases of soda. But you know, it's
getting on.
Walking on, yeah. If you're flying, you are definitely bound by whatever weight the airline says you can carry.
You have to keep your mindset of what the airline requires, not the cruise. Yeah, just because we're all flying, so we have to go with the airline's rules. You can take an extra bag, but they're going to charge you $100 minimum for a second bag, one way. So every time you fly, you have to pay for that. So, okay, I think I have covered all my topics. The only last one is I just want to remind you all to please check your emails. We do I send out a lot of emails trying to remind you guys of stuff. last week I sent an email to a chunk of you that have not turned in your verification form to me yet. If I sent it to you, it's because you have not. If you have an individual email, I sent it to you. If it's an email for both of you, I may not have received it for your husband or your wife or whoever's traveling with you. So double check with me if that's the case, but I do need that verification form back. If you're having a problem filling it in, I have had 1 or 2 people say they just can't get it, then I'm going to request that you send me a copy of your passport. Okay, just
Okay,
the picture
so
page.
You need that even if we're not flying through you, right?
Yes.
It was really unclear, Lee and I, because we were like, oh, does she need this? Because we're not going to be flying.
Yeah, it's
to-
more or less for my file. It helps to
Okay.
have all the information
Right.
exactly. I need
Okay.
to see exactly how your
We'll get-
passport appears.
Okay, we'll
Yeah.
get that to you.
Thank you, thank you. All right, what else? Any other questions I missed? Anything else you guys may have jotted down that you want to know?
I have a question. Can you hear me?
Sure. Yes.
Should we take soap for the washer?
I think they have it there, David. Yeah. In the
They-
laundry room.
They have it because you can just use your medallion and they'll put it right on your bill for you.
Of course they
yeah.
will.
But what I would say, so here's what I'd say. If you have certain allergies or whatever, and there's a certain soap that you must have to do laundry, or do your laundry, then I would probably say yes.
Yeah.
If not, again, I would say I'm not sure I would use your luggage and that weight to carry. I guess you can do the pods and put them in a Ziploc bag, but it's just one more thing you have to carry. They do sell stuff on the ship, though.
Okay, thank you.
And someone has asked about when do we think the next Zoom meeting will be. We'll figure that out when we have more information for the land tour.
Probably towards the end of June, sometime July. I'm hoping to have all the information I need on that. Rest assured, all your deposits are in. So everybody's paid that, and I will eventually get an invoice over to you. But I'm sure you've all seen on your credit card your $500 deposit for the Globus tour. So as long as you've seen that, you're good to go. Like I said, we only have a few spots left on that. So if you're swaying, you might want to put a deposit down sooner than later.
Yeah. And then I think other things just for us, because we've had a lot of questions on the badges. So for those of you that have responded to me with what name you want on your badge, because I don't assume, because when Lindy sends me who's signed up, she's usually giving me whatever
Your legal
official
name
is on there. And sometimes that's not the name you want in your badge. So make sure you respond to me on that. If you have, I've got about 50, I believe it's 52 badges right now on back order with my badge guy. He is, as I was sharing with some of the folks in Oregon, he also makes the badges for Disney. And so when Disney decides to order a bunch of badges, my little order of 52 suddenly goes to the bottom of his priority list. But he has been in communication with me. So he is, getting through those. If you haven't responded to me, go ahead and do that. Someone was asking, are those the Dance With Me badges? These are actually cruise badges that have a cruise thing and what has with your name, with the swinger of what year you've gone on the cruise. There's a couple folks like the Suitmans who've been on all of them, so they have a pretty long set of dangles there. But yeah, so we try to do those just so we can identify each other usually on the ship. People usually know who all the square dancers are by the end of the cruise because we're really the friendly people. And you'll find that we are usually also the group that shuts down most of the locations on the cruise ship, as many of the because square dancers aren't older people. We're young at heart, and so
We dance.
we dance. And so as everybody else is going to bed at 10 o'clock, we're still out. So it's good stuff. But if you haven't got that, that's what's going on with the cruise badges. So we are still ordering them. I will be sending out an email like Lindy does asking, just again, reminding of that. And then if we get any other information, like, types of, I know like last time for London, types of converters, where we found them on Amazon or whatever, or adapters. I'll always try to take snippets, and maybe even Lindy, we can do some of the apps or whatever. We can do send those screenshots out to everybody just so they can see
Sure.
what it's like.
Be happy to. Also, people are still signing up for this cruise, just so you know. A lot of people are saying, hey, is there still room for my sister and her husband that wants to come? Yes, there is, but there's very limited space. I've been saying that for a month or two, but it's true, especially there's not necessarily any cabin assignments available. So in other words, when all of you guys booked your cruise, I said, oh, do you like this cabin? You wanted a midship cabin. This is your cabin number. If they were to book as of today, they get what's called a guarantee. That means you're guaranteed in that category, but you won't know your cabin assignment until closer to the cruise departure date. So when there's only guarantees left, that tells me the ship is almost sold out. So, if you know of anybody that may want to go, again, they don't have to be a dancer. You're welcome to give them my information, and I can see what's available and get them today's best price still. Okie doke.
I have one thing to say to Suki. If you want to get soap, laundry soap, or detergent or something like that, I would suggest when you get into Auckland to go shopping, because
It's a great idea.
you can take anything you want on the ship, mostly.
Walk on.
Open containers, sometimes they're not real happy with, but we've
You
gone
cannot
and
take
gotten,
alcohol.
yeah, we've gone and gotten potato chips and something to nibble on in our room.
Smart before
Yeah.
getting on.
Before we take our bags onto the ship. So if you really think you want to, you don't have to take it in your luggage.
Thank you.
No, that is a
Get there
great
couple days
suggestion.
early.
Thank you, John. If you are there early, let's say you enjoy wine and you want to take a bottle of wine on, everybody's allowed to bring one bottle each, or a bottle of champagne. You cannot take hard liquor, and you can't take more than that one bottle, but I know most of you have the plus package, and so you get the free alcohol on board. But for those of you that don't, if you wanted to do that, you could. They even allow generally like a 6-pack of soda or something, if you like some people want Pepsi versus Coke, things like that. Or you want some candy or certain chips, yes, like he said, if you want to snack on anything in your room, they don't really mind that. You just have to take it all in your carry-on. As long as they can see it, what you're bringing on, they're good with it.
Yeah.
I will be reminding you all of that again as it gets closer to packing time.
A box of wine is usually acceptable also, if you don't want to
Really?
take just a bottle.
I've never heard of that. Okay. I've never heard that that's been allowed.
My
Interesting.
sister does it quite often.
I just,
Or not.
I wanted to ask
No.
if, is the square dancing gonna be like squares and rounds, or is round dancing gonna be separate from the square dancing?
So I think we will probably try to do a mix of both, where we may have, again, we have the two locations. So we may get, as we get going and we figure out sort of all of our venues, we may try to do like squares and rounds. And what we maybe do is, because we do have several cuers and other callers that are going to be on the ship. And so I'll be reaching out to those folks if they want to do a tip or do a set of rounds or whatever, so we may try to figure that out. Or what I'll do is, because again, Dawn and I may have to be split, is I will have her rounds that are queued to be able to play queued rounds, if she's doing just rounds down in the other venue. So we'll let you know more as we get further along on how that'll be, but we will try to, any square dance session between tips, instead of having dead space, I'll either be playing rounds or she'll be doing live rounds.
And we'll be asking as it gets closer what level everyone is and your favorite rounds. I'll want to know that. So
yeah. So I hopefully that answered your question.
Okay, we've been on an hour and a half, so I think we should be wrapping it up.
Can I put in one quick question again, in regard to registration? I'm so frustrated, because I can't really get on at all. You mentioned when I asked you if I had to register, because under that cruise personalizer, when you're not booked, I can get on and look at cruises or tours. But then there's a big thing on the right side that says register now, and I cannot register because they say that my name and my email are not valid. And then I use an old email and it says, oh, you've been on a cruise before, and they're going to let me in. And as soon as I try to go in and do anything, they tell me that it's not correct. And I can't get on to see a medallion or an app or anything like that. So I don't know what to do. And I tried calling them, and I get somebody in India or somewhere who doesn't understand.
Let's try your phone next. Okay. When you log on to the Medallion app, you do not have to have an email. All you need is your name, your booking number, and your birth date. And you should be able to get.
I don't have a Medallion app, and I don't know how to get it.
Okay. Do you have apps on your phone?
Yes.
Okay. So you need to go to the button somewhere on your phone that says app search, and you need to add. And this is everybody. Nobody just has it on their phone. Okay. So when you go to your apps, you search for it and you type in Princess Medallion. Let me,
I'm sorry.
I'll send over a snippet like David said. For instance, are you on an iPhone?
Yeah.
Okay. So it's a little blue tab. I don't know if you can see that. Shoot. But when you open it up, there's a search bar at the top. Sorry. It doesn't come in, huh? It's like, yeah. Yeah. I will see if I can somehow take a picture of it, and I'll snapshot a few things and send it over to you. The other thing you can do is you can call your phone provider, whether it be Verizon, T-Mobile, Apple, anybody like that. You can also go into an Apple store, and they will help you find the app and put it on your phone. They'll even help you fill it out. You just need to make an appointment with them.
Okay.
Okay. But that might be easier than going through the computer if you're using your email trying to log into your account. Again, nobody has to have an account. You can just log in with your name and your birth date and your booking number, and you can get access to everything in your booking.
Except ordering a medallion.
Well, that you automatically have to do through the app. You cannot do it online.
Yeah. Okay. I'll try. I think I've not been able to get apps anymore. Okay. I think I got the wrong code or something.
The other thing is, if you forget or if you don't look at the medallion, if you don't order it or say what you want, it will still be at the port. When you go to check in, they're going to give you one no matter what. Okay, because everybody has to have one. That's just how you function on board the ship. Okay.
Okay.
Cool. All right. It's been great seeing you all. I always like seeing your faces after I talk to you over the phone. Yep. This will be recorded. So David's going to send me the link as soon as we're done here, and I will forward it out to everybody again, so that if you want to watch it again, maybe you missed something in your notes, you'll have it forever. It'll be there. Otherwise we'll keep you updated. And like I said, if you haven't done your flights yet, please start thinking about, the days you want to fly. And if you need my help, give me a call or email me. If you want to do any pre or post night stays, let me know. I can help you. I do my best with everything. So always ask. Yep. You're very welcome.
Yeah. Thank you guys for joining. And, and like Lindy said, we'll send out the YouTube link. Dawn's really good at doing that. So we'll get that to Lindy so she can send it out to everybody. And again, if there's questions on the dancing and stuff, don't hesitate to ask. So and Lindy will field the other questions on all the important stuff like the travel. So
thank you all.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Hey, bye-bye, everybody.
Take care. Bye-bye. Take care, everybody.